You're watching TVC Breakfast. Let's get to our first discussion now. Insecurity, unfortunately, remains a harsh reality faced in most parts of the country today. That's in Nigeria. In a bid to strengthen the security system in the country, the federal government says it has concluded plans to revamp the Ministry of Defense and the Armed Forces. This was according to the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Defense, Ibrahim Kanna, who also added that the reformed Ministry of Defense will operate like the U.S. Pentagon, where military and civilian staff can efficiently work together without dichotomies. That's the crux of our discussion next. Joining me in the studio is a security consultant, Roy Ohidevie. It's nice to have you join me, Roy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Great.
Yeah.
Right, now the point there is, to civilians and to an ordinary Nigerian, the revamping of the Ministry of Defense, where it's going to operate like the Pentagon in the United States, and the civilian, military, and all of that, it may not mean anything to civilians. The answer is whatever the government does, we want to go to bed and sleep and wake up and all of that. But talk to us basically. Some of these things may be necessary. What does this mean to the fight against insecurity in Nigeria?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. We meet again.
Of course, we keep meeting.
But incidentally, it's very traumatic for those of us that actually discuss about security, especially those that were in the field of play. So when you begin to hear government talk about certain things, you look at some areas that will tell you why they are making such moves. Okay, for now, we are looking at 2023. Okay, so what do you want to do? What repositioning do you want to do? What revamping do you want to do? And you are giving yourself a yardstick, the Pentagon. You want to make the Ministry of Defense like the Pentagon. In how many months? In how many days? So in all this jamboree of 2023, who is going to be focused? Even serving ministers right now, serving governors, offering themselves to be president without resigning from office. So who is going to be focused on this, your revamping that you want to do? I think like that, we'll know that it's just a political statement. Then let's come back to looking at what do you want to revamp? Like this ministry we're talking about, it's supposed to be what should remove all kinds of distractions from the eyes of the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Naval Staff, the Chief of Air Staff. Every arm of the military supposed to just focus on delivering, establishing themselves in areas of concerns, areas of necessity, countering off vulnerabilities, projecting ahead, expecting that the ministry will be looking at the administrative aspects. So I just took my time. I said, some people may not understand the responsibilities of the ministry. And finding that you put someone like that to head such a ministry for all this while, and the direction of movement is backward and backward all the time. Because the role and the responsibility there is magnanimous. It's too large for somebody that should be so calm and set back. It's a reactive position and a proactive position at the same time. Both must run pari passu. Take for an example, let's just go briefly. Organizations that are supposed to be under the ministry, the Defense Headquarters of Nigeria, headed by the Chief of Defense Staff, so he's under the ministry. The Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, the Nigerian Air Force, they are under the ministry. One man taking that kind of authoritative role without any kind of consultation. Now look at parastatals that are also under it. The defense mission, which should be like diasporan approaches, defense intelligence. You have the defense military pension board. The military pension board has, in fact, the role of the military pension board have been put on hold, especially on anything the Ministry of Finance and the Honorable Minister of Defense decides. So the guy is just there begging for attention. The veterans are crying, which should be an example to all fighting troops because I need a transition. You know, where am I transiting to? You see how the molds are reacting right now. You go in there, you will see Nigerian Armed Forces Resettlement Center. That one is in Oshodi here, you know, Nafric. You go there, a retired personnel, after 35 years, you are supposed to pass through a robust program, perhaps to be even funded, you know, on your projects that you want to do. So you are moving into a safe zone while you are engaged. You know, you are looking at the Defense Industries Corporation. Defense Industry Corporation, that one is even grave opportunity to combat because we're supposed to be producing that Defense Industry Corporation, if not the politicizing. How many Nigerian youths have you seen doing drones? Before you know, they are sneaked abroad. Why can't we take them into such umbrella? How many plans to do armored vehicles, guns, and everything that we're supposed to be manufacturing in Nigeria? Go and look at the East. You will see young men that can design an AK-47. Who is harnessing all those opportunities for the Federal Republic of Nigeria? You know, look at the National Defense College. National Defense College. In that National Defense College alone, you can even inculcate some projection to look at some civilians that are opportune to be in some places to have defense knowledge. You know, practically, you are now having a platform where you can press buttons to reach beyond the military, you know, to reach people with intelligentsia, to contribute. You are looking at Pentagon. Hello. Let's look at the last one here. We said the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, the Nigerian Defense Academy. All of this under that seat. Civilian organizations and departments, human resource management, finance, planning, procurement. For procurement, you know, a drone that you buy today that have passed through all the tables in the defense for approval, which everybody will want their cut, everybody will want their kickback, everybody will want to know who the vendor is, what is in it for us. Before that drone comes out, it's a cake. That drone is not going to be relevant because the dynamics of insecurity shows that there must be improvement on every model. You know, that procurement department for now, it's a cash cow. It's a business-making environment. I can tell you, we're on air, okay? Then if you go and look at the medical services, the legal services, under the legal services, you know, those days in the army, we used to have court-martial, you know, and that court-martial, nobody wants to go to court-martial. Ordinary unit trial, if you are afraid, you know, talk of court-martial. You know, have you heard of court-martial again? All the military cases
those were under the military rule.
You know, so all military cases now, you will hear that even retired soldiers, dismissed soldiers are taking the military to court. So where are the legal processes to find that this dismissed officer, this dismissed generals will just be packed together like this and sent out of the military? Generals, they will be kicked out like that. You know, they can't even say what they have done. Everybody's afraid to discriminate the government, not to get into trouble. What is the General Services Department, Education, Medical Services? You have seen soldiers that were attacked in active service. They are asking for help. Then you will see other people flying out of the country to get the medical services that these are people in front line supposed to get. You know, so let me not even just go into other things.
The point there is, all of these parastatals that you have stated, which are ideally under the Ministry of Defense. Now, we assume these are all the different agencies under the Defense Headquarters. Now, if we're going to run it like the permanent secretary, the permanent secretary has said, run it like Pentagon, what's the difference? Because the Pentagon is a collection of all of those, and then intelligence runs through it, and then everything. What's the difference?
There's a difference.
Okay.
Now, what they don't understand in the statement they are making is this. The military is subject to the territorial integrity of Nigeria, and it is subject to Nigeria as an entity. Okay. Every political group, body, president that comes and go is under a policy. Where you exceed your policy, something is supposed to call you to order.
Right.
Yeah. You know, a president in any other country does not override the Pentagon. The Pentagon itself is subject to some judicial processes from the Senate, from the legislation, from every other executive arm.
So there are checks and balances within that system.
You know that to control the system. So an officer in the military, in the defense system, is not somebody you call on phone and say, press that button. You know, he's supposed to be asking you some salient questions. He's supposed to be collaborating. He's supposed to be putting together a committee that will begin to look at some paperwork that will question your authority, why you should say so. You know, and you are constrained. You can't come back later and victimize that officer because that your request is already on record. You know, and if you come back to that officer, he's protected by the office that he holds. But in Nigeria, there is no protection. So you see the government putting the chief of army staff, the chief of defense staff, to run them as puppets, you know, and it's not so in the Pentagon that you're looking for. The first thing that you should begin to look for is the defense system a professional body currently? Is the defense system, is the military pension board able to say, this is the security department allowance? It has not been released. Is the procurement system under the Minister of Defense able to say, we wanted to buy this device last week, we have not been able to buy it, it's no more relevant, we are going for this, and this person is culpable because it has lost XYZ number of lives. You know, is the military defense, the legal department able to say, our pilots that we have now, they are not matured enough to combat and to utilize the equipment. Maybe that's why we are having this crisis of crashes of air flight. Okay, who is culpable? Hold some people culpable. Begin to draw ropes that we put it in order. You know, is the defense system able to look into the eyes of a governor? Ordinary governor can even manipulate a chief of defense staff. Or you know what happened in Rivers State. You know what's happening in some states in the north, up north, Borno and all that. How many times have we seen opportunities for the defense to stand on its ground and help the citizenry? But it's not possible.
Yeah. So isn't that what the ministry maybe wants to do now? Because you've created the platform, or you've created a scenario as to how it is supposed to be that it is not. And if the ministry is coming to say, now we want to change all of that, you know, all of the shortcomings, some of the things that were noticed here and there, we want to change it now so it can work like the Pentagon in such a way that it can check even the commander-in-chief. As much as he's a commander-in-chief, that has, like you were talking about the issue of pressing the button. In the US, when you talk about pressing the button, it's different from Nigeria when we talk about pressing the buttons. But the point there is, if the president wants to press a button, for instance, the Pentagon has checks and balances. There's a parameter by which the button can be pressed, and it can say, yes, go ahead. So isn't that a good thing if they want to review things to begin to work like that?
If they want to review things after these 8 years, sir, if you want to review things, sir, we don't want to hear it.
Okay.
We don't want to hear it. We want to see that the veteran community just begins to see approvals. Do you know how many, few of us that were able to get our own businesses, do you know how many phone calls you have in a day? I may not survive till next week. My drugs have finished. And truly that person will die. Look at Major Ogaga that we lost in Warri. In fact, go and check his record. Go online and check Major Ogaga's record. This man just died like that. Every day he will send me message. Ambassador, are you sure I will last till next week? I'll say, Daddy, no. I traveled to Warri to go and see him. Let us begin to see military officers that are due for promotion get promoted. Let us just begin to see those that have spent more time on the front lines, more than 3 years, 4 years, get reshuffled. Let us see the medical system. you know, a medical system that is top notch. You know, even the soldier that will come out to begin to complain will be embarrassed by the results that the government can bring. Let us see an educational system that will improve the curriculum. You know, what about the recruitment system? See, you don't need to come on air. People will just begin to see Tucano story took us like 2-3 years. The military, the US government don't want to help us. So finally, you went to sign things that maybe you could not meet. Tucano is here, government funds are in it. It's not, we are not even seeing the effectiveness. Now, if you want to do something, sir, can we begin to see the activities of the military going into the current practice in the Pentagon? Can you begin to activate all those things that you said you agree that has not been activated? People will just, it's you guys, journalists, that will say, wow, we saw the military do this, we saw the military do this. So those things are not done. You are saying it. It is just another way to siphon taxpayers' money.
Roy, it's so charged because the pictures you've painted here tells us that we still have a lot to achieve. But one way or the other, I believe they're achievable. Is Nigeria we're talking about here is still achievable. Time will not permit us to go beyond this, but we thank you, Roy Hideve, for coming on the program today.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you.